Alright, so let's talk about this recent incident involving Downing Street and the Diwali celebration. Yeah, it's been making some waves in the news lately. Okay, so here's the situation. On October 29th, Downing Street hosted its annual Diwali celebration, which, as many know, is a significant event for British Hindus, Sikhs and Jains. It's a time for community, reflection and celebration. But this year, there was quite a bit of controversy surrounding the event. Right? Let me break it down for you. So, what happened? During the event, meat and alcohol were reportedly served. Yeah, that's beer, wine, and even lamb kebabs. Now, at first glance, you might think, okay, what's the big deal? But here's the thing. While Hinduism doesn't outright prohibit meat or alcohol, many practicing Hindus follow vegetarian and teetotal lifestyles. And for such a culturally significant event, this oversight felt, tone-deaf to some members of the community. The fallout started pretty quickly. Conservative MP Shivani Raja, who represents Leicester East, was among those who voiced their disappointment. She described herself as deeply saddened by the incident. And I see where she's coming from. It's not just about the food or drink itself. It's about the symbolism and respect for the customs that matter to a lot of people in that community. Downing Street has since issued an apology. They admitted, that a mistake was made in the organization of the event. In their statement, they said the Prime Minister was pleased to host various communities celebrating Diwali and that he acknowledged the huge contributions of British Hindu, Sikh and Jain communities to the country. They added that they understood the strong feelings on this issue and assured everyone it wouldn't happen again. Right, so they're owning up to it, which is good to see. But still, the whole thing has stirred up some emotions, and I get why. Diwali, for many, is deeply tied to values, traditions, and, a sense of identity. It's not just a party, it's a sacred time. For Downing Street, especially with Rishi Sunak being the first Hindu Prime Minister, the expectations were probably even higher. Right, think about it. One of Sunak's first major acts as Prime Minister back in 2022 was hosting the Diwali celebration. There were these beautiful images of him with his family, lighting traditional candles. It was a proud moment for many British Indians. So, this year's oversight felt like a step backward to some people. And those who have attended past events noted that they were usually vegetarian and alcohol-free, which, aligns more closely with what many practicing Hindus would expect. So, when news broke about this year's menu, it sparked a lot of criticism. Shivani Raja, the MP I mentioned earlier, even wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. And in that letter, she expressed her unhappiness with the situation. She said it reflected poorly on the event's organization and showed a disappointing lack of understanding about customs and traditions. Right. She also mentioned how this oversight overshadowed what should have been a positive celebration. I see her point. It's not just about logistics, it's about cultural sensitivity. Now, let's zoom out a bit, okay? This isn't just about food and drink at a single event. There's a broader context here. The relationship between British Hindus and political parties in the UK has been evolving. For example, Labour has historically struggled to maintain strong support among British Indians, and there's been a noticeable shift in voting patterns. In fact, in the last general election, Raja was the only Conservative MP to take a seat from Labour. That was in Leicester East, by the way, a constituency with a significant Hindu population. Right, so Labour has been working to address this. In recent years, they've revamped their outreach efforts to British Indians, and it seems to be paying off in some areas. In 2024, they saw a slight uptick in support among Hindus, around 2 percentage points. Not massive, but still something. I think this whole situation with the Diwali celebration could potentially influence how communities view political parties and their commitment to understanding cultural nuances. But let's go back to the core issue here. Yeah, mistakes happen. We're all human. But when you're organizing an event as significant as a Diwali celebration at such a high-profile venue like Downing Street, you'd think there'd be more attention to detail. Yeah, it's not just about ticking boxes. It's about genuinely respecting the traditions and values of the people you're celebrating with, right? And in this case, serving meat and alcohol seem to miss the mark. I see why people are upset. Diwali is about more than just lights and festivities. It's a time for spiritual reflection, family, and, often observing dietary and lifestyle practices rooted in faith. So for attendees, finding out about the menu could feel like a lack of consideration for those values. Now, what's next? Okay, Downing Street has promised this won't happen again. And that's a step in the right direction. But I think there's a lesson here, yeah? It's about understanding and respecting cultural sensitivities, especially in diverse communities, right? It's not just about grand gestures or hosting events. It's about the details that show you genuinely care and understand. What do you think? Is this just a simple mistake, or does it point to a bigger issue of cultural awareness in politics? It's an interesting one to reflect on. I mean, it's great that events like these happen. They're an opportunity to bring communities together and celebrate diversity. But when things go wrong, even unintentionally, it can leave a sour taste. No pun intended. So, that's the story. I think it's a reminder, right, that actions speak louder than words. Hosting an event is one thing, but making sure it truly aligns with the values and expectations of the community, that's where the real impact lies. Let's hope Downing Street learns from this and does better next time. Okay, thanks for sticking with me through this breakdown. What's your take?